When most people throw something into a body of water, they're doing it because they think it'll be there for the rest of time. Most people doing this are doing it for less than legal reasons, but regardless of that, they believe what they're getting rid of will stay hidden forever. Unfortunately for them, that's often not the case. There are many reasons why a body of water may need to be drained, whether it's to clean it or to actively search for something lost within it. From an entire sunken town to an island used by Mormons for several decades, there have been some truly strange things found when bodies of water were drained, either naturally or by man. Make sure to stick around until the end. You wouldn't want to miss an ancient Chinese cave discovered underwater. Here are 15 of the most bizarre things found in drained water bodies. Number 15. Weapons stash. Police in Tempe, Arizona say they found a cache of weapons in Tempe Town Lake. The weapons included a shotgun, a handgun, and a knife. The discovery was made after a fisherman reported seeing a suspicious bag in the water, which later sunk down and wasn't able to be located for some time. Police said the weapons appeared to be unregistered. The lake needed to be drained for reasons unrelated to the reported bag, but the police were intent on searching for it and discovering what was inside. They found the aforementioned weapons and were unable to match them to any of the registered ones in their databases. The water had also ruined any sort of forensic evidence, meaning it was impossible to tell whether they'd been fired recently or if there were any fingerprints on them. Many have speculated about this being a criminal's murder kit, and there does seem to be some evidence of that being the case. But overall, it's unknown where they're actually from. Hopefully, more information comes to light about them soon. Number 14. 4 safes filled with gold. If you've ever been lucky enough to visit Paris, then you're probably familiar with the Canal Saint-Martin. Constructed in 1825, it's one of the city's pride and joys, taking up a massive amount of space and flowing calmly throughout the region. What's not as well known, however, is the fact that the canal has to be drained and cleaned fairly often. The last time this canal was drained, there were several mysterious things found within the riverbed that had authorities scratching their heads. The most notable were 4 large steel safes that were padlocked and sealed shut, meaning that it took quite a few specialized tools to get them open. When they were opened, however, authorities were astounded to find that they were absolutely filled with gold bars and coins. It's unknown where these safes came from and how they ended up in the water, but considering they were abandoned, it's assumed they came from illicit means. It would have been pretty nice to find that much money underwater, but the chance of holding on to blood money in that case is fairly high. Number 13. Anthrax scare. Frederick is located in north-central Maryland, just over an hour's drive from Washington, D.C. The city's population was 65,239 according to the 2010 census. The town is home to Fort Detrick, the U.S. Army's primary facility for biodefense research, most notably in the early 2000s when the base was broken into and a small sample was stolen. This sample was believed to be found later in a nearby lake, where a large portion of the town got its drinking water. It's unknown if this was the exact same sample that was stolen, but what is known is that anthrax was discovered within the lake during the early 2000s. Anthrax is a terrifying weapon, capable of killing millions of people with a very small quantity. It's lucky that it was found before it could have done catastrophic damage to the town. Number 12. Bombay Beach Town. Bombay Beach is a ghost town on the Salton Sea in Imperial County, California. It's located in the southern region of the state and northeast of the sea in the Colorado Desert. The town was established in the early 20th century when the area was used for mining and farming. However, it began to decline in the mid-20th century when the Salton Sea began to form. The town was further impacted by the earthquake in the area in 1979. As of the 2010 census, the town had a population of 328. The town has a total of 1.2 square miles, or 3.1 square kilometers, of all land. The town is home to the Bombay Beach ruins, which are the remains of a former resort town that was destroyed by the Salton Sea. The ruins are located on the shore of the sea and are accessible via a boardwalk, and they're quite eerie to experience in person. A massive amount of money was poured into creating this resort, only for it to be destroyed by the ruthless waves of the Salton Sea. Number 11. Town of Old Beaufort. The sunken city of Old Beaufort consists of the remains of a small city that was lost to the sea during a hurricane in 1893. The city was once a thriving seafood and cotton-producing community, but it was all destroyed in an instant when a hurricane dragged most of the city out into the ocean. Most of the buildings and houses were destroyed, but there are a select few that were lifted and moved as an entire unit. The city was destroyed by the hurricane, and its citizens were forced to abandon their homes. The city was never rebuilt and is now only visible during low tide. The site of the sunken city is now a popular spot for scuba diving and is also home to a variety of marine life. Although it's been there for a very long time, the town has held together decently well in its watery grave. Footage of divers in the location is actually quite eerie, as it showcases places where people once lived and worked every day. It's unknown how many lives were lost when it was destroyed, but it's assumed to be around 100 or more. Number 10. The Mormon Island. Folsom Lake is a man-made reservoir located in the Sierra Nevada foothills east of Sacramento in California. It's the largest lake in the Sacramento-San Joaquin River Delta. Mormon Island is located in the middle of the lake and is a small island that's part of the state park system. The island was originally inhabited by the Maidu people when in 1842 a group of Mormon pioneers came to the area and established a settlement. The island was then named after them. The Mormon settlement only lasted for a few years, but the name stuck. Today, Mormon Island is a popular spot for picnicking, fishing, and swimming. There's a small beach on the island and plenty of space for people to spread out and enjoy the day. Visitors can reach Mormon Island by boat or by hiking. There's a trail that leads from the shoreline of the lake up to the island. The hike is about a mile long and considered to be moderate in difficulty. There are no facilities on Mormon Island, so visitors should come prepared with everything they need for the day. There's also no drinking water available, so it's important to bring plenty of water for everyone in your group. The island was actually submerged in the lake for several years, but recent attempts to drain some of the water have resulted in its re-emergence. Number 9. Rusty Ford car in the middle of nowhere. A Ford Escort was found in the middle of a lake in Florida, and it's not clear how it got there. A fisherman spotted the car in Lake Okeechobee and alerted the sheriff's office. The Escort had been in the water for some time and was heavily corroded. It's not clear how the car got into the lake, but authorities believe that it may have been used in a crime and then abandoned. Like many other things on this list, the car was only visible because the lake had experienced a heavy dry spell during the recent months, resulting in massive quantities of water being drained from it. Because of this, the hood of the car was barely sticking out of it, which allowed the fisherman to spot it amongst the waves. Finding a car in the lake will always be fishy, pun intended, because it generally means that it's been used for something and then abandoned. Hopefully in this case, the real reason is a bit less sinister than that. Number 8. Gang disposal site. The Lake County Sheriff's Office announced the discovery of a gang-related underwater burial site in Lake County, right near the border of the area. The site, discovered in a rural section of the county, was found to contain the remains of several people. The exact number of victims has not yet been determined. The discovery was made after the Sheriff's Office received a tip about possible human remains on a piece of property in the county. Deputies responded to the scene and found a grave containing the remains of several people, though they needed to use scuba gear and trained diving professionals to finally locate them. This just goes to show how important it is to train divers for police force use, as they've resulted in the discovery of several important crimes throughout the past couple of years. The Sheriff's Office has not yet released any information about the victims or any possible suspects. The investigation is ongoing, and hopefully the terrible person or people who committed these crimes is eventually found and put to justice. Number 7. Police officer gun and badge. An Oceanside police officer who was diving in Lake Skinner to help train other officers in water rescue found an old police badge, according to reports made by officials. The officer was diving with the Oceanside Police dive team when he found the badge in about 20 feet of water, which was much more shallow than the area generally is. The water level of the lake had receded a bit, which made it the perfect depth for diving and practicing search and rescue. The badge is being analyzed to see who it belonged to and when it was lost. The police say that the badge has a number stamped on the back, but that it's not the badge number for the Oceanside Police Department. This means that it very likely belongs to an officer from a different county, which leads to the question of why was it found within the lake? Did something sinister happen to that officer? Did they just throw it in? Or did they just happen to lose their badge while on vacation? Hopefully, some new information comes out regarding it sooner than later. Number 6. Century-Year-Old Bridge. In the 1990s, a portion of the Great Bridge of the Ming Dynasty was unearthed in Jiangsu Province. The Great Bridge of the Ming Dynasty is believed to have been constructed in the early 15th century, and it ran for approximately 1,000 meters across the Nanjing River. As the largest stone arch in China and one of the largest stone bridges in the world, the Great Bridge of the Ming Dynasty was an engineering marvel in its time. The new portion of the bridge that was unearthed in the 1990s was found to be supported by a stone arch that's more than 20 meters high. The bridge is believed to have been part of the original structure, which is why the discovery was so significant, and it was only found due to the receding level of the water within the river, as the region was going through an almost unprecedented dry spell. The bridge gradually became more and more visible, and eventually people even attempted to walk on it before that was disallowed by the Chinese government. Overall, it's an incredibly significant historical find, and it's great to see that it's resurfaced after so many years.
Before we go on, do like this video, smash that subscribe button, and click the notification bell right now, or this centipede will crawl on your face while you're sleeping.
It's time for today's subscriber pick. This image was submitted by a viewer who claimed that their local canal was being drained to perform a cleanup operation, as the water had gotten incredibly murky throughout the years. The image showcases the absolute mountains of trash and other debris that had been thrown into the canal and left to remain at the bottom over the years. The people in the high-visibility jackets are searching through the canal for something, as evidenced by the fact that they aren't stopping to clean up the rest of the garbage. This likely means that they're looking for one specific item, which is certainly interesting, considering there wasn't any mention of a search when the canal was drained. What kind of object do you think the people are searching for within the canal? Do you think they were sanctioned by the government to drain it without telling the citizens what they were actually looking for? Remember to comment down below with the hashtag subscriberpick and let us know what you think. Now, on to the next topic. Number 5. Perfectly maintained underwater forest. It's not every day you see an underwater forest in the middle of a lake, but that's exactly what you'll find in Lake Tapps in Washington. The forest is actually a collection of submerged trees that were once part of the shoreline. Over time, the water level in the lake rose and the trees were submerged.
It ended up shutting down the park last year.
Now, they provide a habitat for fish and other aquatic creatures. When the lake was recently drained, people had forgotten about the forest that used to exist on its shore. That's why people were astounded when trees began to appear from the middle of the lake, eventually expanding out in a beautiful forest, complete with ground cover and seaweed hanging from the branches. Although it's fairly uncommon for forests to remain in such good condition, there are actually quite a few cases where they've been submerged beneath lakes. This is especially the case with old-growth forests, which generally form beneath sea level anyway. Number 4. Wedding ring rediscovered. A wedding ring found in a drained lake in Germany is believed to have belonged to a woman who drowned more than 100 years ago. Her body had been found several decades earlier, but the wedding ring that she'd supposedly been wearing had never been found. Her husband was understandably distraught by this and thought that it was lost for good until the day he died. The gold ring was then discovered by a metal detectorist in the dried-up lake in the municipality of Schmalkalden-Menningen in the German state of Thuringia. The ring is described with the name Mariachen and the date 1896, leading authorities to believe that it belonged to the woman who had drowned in the lake in the late 19th or early 20th century. The ring was found in the dried-up bed of the lake, which was drained in 2014 for unrelated reasons. Although the woman and her husband never got closure, it's still nice to know that the ring has finally been found. It was later buried within her grave after public demand to return it to her. Number 3. Large spherical aluminum tank. A strange discovery was made in Lake Nakordoches several years ago when a local fisherman discovered what appeared to be a large metal sphere half submerged in the water. The sphere, which is approximately 3 feet in diameter, was brought to shore and is currently being examined by experts. It was only found because the water level was so far out due to a local drought, meaning it's unknown how long the sphere has actually been there. It's not yet known what the sphere even is, or how it ended up in the lake. Some have speculated that it may be a piece of space debris that fell to Earth, while others believe it could be a man-made object that was deliberately placed there. There are also people who believe that it's some sort of alien transport device, considering the size of it and the fact that the inside is mostly hollow. Further testing will be required to determine the true nature of the sphere. In the meantime, it remains a mystery. Number 2. Freshwater jellyfish? Freshwater jellyfish have been reported in Lake Michigan, although they're not native to the Great Lakes. These jellyfish are most likely the non-native species Craspedacusta sowerby, which is believed to have entered through the Great Lakes through the release of contaminated ship ballast water. Craspedacusta sowerby is not considered harmful to humans, although it can sting if touched. These odd jellies only became visible during an extreme dry season, where the water level of the lake dropped far below normal levels. This allowed their small forms to be seen near the top of the water, rather than around the middle of the lake where they seem to generally congregate.
What are you doing?
Jellyfish don't generally do very well in freshwater, so it's incredibly strange to find these animals thriving and reproducing in Lake Michigan. Luckily, it doesn't seem like they've disrupted the local ecosystem too much, but we'll see how it develops throughout the next few years. Number 1. Ancient Chinese Caves. The Longyu Caves are a group of man-made caves located in Longyu County, Zhejiang Province in China. The caves were located in a remote mountainous area and were created over 2,000 years ago. They were found when a lake was drained and the locals discovered that it just kept going. So a lot of work was put into pumping the water out of this unique construction. The Longyu Caves are the largest and most well-preserved example of man-made caves in China. They were built using a unique method that's still not fully understood, as the people who created them shouldn't have had many of the advanced techniques that it seems the caves were created with. The caves are believed to have been for storage, burial, or possibly both. The caves are now a popular tourist destination and have been designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. They are truly a gorgeous sight, despite the fact that their past is shrouded in mystery and the way they were created is unknown. Which of these things do you think is the most bizarre? Do you think scientists will ever fully understand all of the strange things that have been found in drained water bodies? Tell us in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe. It helps us to understand what kind of videos you enjoy, and that way we can tell what kind of topics you're looking for next. Tap that bell icon if you're always looking to learn new things, and we look forward to seeing you in the next one.